Interesting. So the Dodgers, of course, lost, and you and I were having this discussion prior to going on to the show this evening. And I'm gonna go out and say, for the record, this was under very suspicious circumstances. You know, it was a heck of a series. They kind of went tit for tat. You know, each team would win a game. You know, you'd have like the Dodgers win the first game, the Astros won the second game. Actually, Astros won the third game. The Dodgers came back, and so it was really kind of going back and forth for a while, and was giving us a really good show.
Really good show.
But that Game 7 just haunts me. How is it that with everything on the line, it's a make-or-break game. I mean, we're tied at 3 apiece, and whoever wins Game 7 is going to walk away with the series. Knowing that there's nothing left in the season, how is it you don't start with your ace pitcher and make sure the other team doesn't score a run?
They were saving them for later in the game, and by that I mean they were basically giving Houston the game.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it looks like to me. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I'm gonna call it what it is. It looks to me like they were really trying to let them have it. Maybe it was because, and we talked about this on the last show, that this is only the second time that the Astros have ever made it to the series, and the Dodgers, Los Angeles Dodgers, have won more series than the Astros have ever played in. On top of that, you've got all the hurricane damage that they had down there in Texas.
Yeah, I've been put off by organized sports for a very, very long time. I have not been a fan. I stopped watching. Part of it is because, and I think I said this last time, like none of them are legal. Not legal. That's debatable. None of them are local. It's like when you vote, like even when you go like high school sports, local college sports, those people actually live in that community. They're from that community. Well, maybe not with college anymore because now they're recruiting people from all over the place too. But at your schools, they're from the area. These are people you can walk and see, and you get that whole hometown thing. I don't get that with professional sports because the players that are on this Dodgers roster right now, how many of them are actually going to be on the roster next year?
Well, and the reality is they're so well insulated to begin with. I mean, when you're making that kind of money, nobody can get near you. It's not like the old days where you could go down and ask for an autograph. You can't even get near these people without getting ejected from the stadium.
Yeah, security was something else, man. Whoosh, man. I'm saying whoosh here. It was good security.
But I mean, what do you imagine the chances are that the whole thing is actually rigged?
I am thoroughly convinced that all professional sports are rigged. Thoroughly convinced. I felt this way for a long time. There is an interesting track record of whenever there is some kind of tragedy, the team from that area or a team that's got a player from that area or something like that becomes the center story, and it's like they're intentionally it's entertainment. We got to call it what it is. Even the NFL, they call themselves entertainment, and I think a lot of people take it a lot more seriously than they need to.
Okay, well,
sports entertainment.
Just in the interest of fairness, I'm going to flip the script for a second and play the devil's advocate. Is it possible that because the Astros are had such a deficit when it comes to World Series appearances that maybe they just wanted it more than the Dodgers?
I don't think so. I mean, I guess that's possible, but for them to go, like you said, it was so strong with the back and forth, and there were a couple of games. I think was it Game 4 where the Astros had like that 3-run thing that kind of put them on top. It was the one where they went like 5 hours. I think that was Game 4, and the Astros won that one. It was the same type of situation, but it seemed all too good. Like everybody got their little shine on, I don't like organized sports. I just can't get into it. Like right now, you've got all these people who want to protest like football and all this other stuff. I'm like, meh.
I find it interesting that Jared is saying that the World Series is an inside job, and then starts talking about George Bush. I'm not sure if you're not reading the chat on the show, you gotta read that
the
too.
World Series. George Bush is from Texas. Yeah, they might be onto something there. Might be onto something.
He's suggesting that George Bush somehow had something to do with 9/11 and the fact that the World Series went to the Astros.
Yeah, he maybe I can't say that's not the case.
Well, going back to the game, the Game 7, not only did they not start with their ace pitcher, which again I don't understand.
So which one is the ace?
Kershaw. They didn't open up with. I mean, if I was the manager,
well, he might have been tired too.
No, he hadn't. They didn't really pitch him. They started warming him up in the bullpen, Game 6, but never really used him. And in fact, they had even noted at the end of Game 6 that Kershaw left the stadium right afterward. And everybody speculated he was going home to get a really good night's sleep because he was going to be starting Game 7. And, I mean, that would have been the logical assumption, in my opinion. If I was the manager, I would have started with my ace pitcher, and I would have let that guy pitch until, I mean, he couldn't throw a straight ball anymore.
Well, which game was it when I don't remember who it was. I don't think it was Kershaw, but he threw the ball, and it bounced off the ground and went all crazy. And he threw true wild. I think the guy with the S, I think his name. I think he was.
The guy with the S?
His name begins with an S.
On which team are we talking about here?
I don't even remember. I watched the series. Like I said, I'm not a fan. I think I watched 3 of the games. I listened to 1 of the games. I listened to Game 1.
Okay.
And, yeah, I don't remember. And then I watched 3 of the games because, TV was on. Had to watch something. Star Trek reruns weren't coming on for another couple of hours, so I figured I'd watch that. And it was a good series. Like you said, it was a good series. I'm really not even a baseball fan. But it was a good series.
All right, Jared is also saying that NASA is somehow involved in this. Wow, these guys have greater conspiracy theories. These guys have greater conspiracy theories than you do. You might be out conspiracied tonight, CJ.
I don't know. I think it's really convenient because the same thing happens every time there's a tragedy. The New Orleans Saints, after Katrina, they won the Super Bowl. After 9/11, that's when the Patriots went on their domination streak. Every single time.
So you're saying that it's more like feel-good TV than an actual sporting event anymore?
Absolutely. And I don't think they really try to hide it. They don't come right out and say it. They're like the WWF was like 20 years ago, where you like it might be real, but they weren't saying it.
Did
wasn't
anybody
real.
ever believe for 1 minute that the WWF was real?
Come on, man. You didn't think the camel clutch was like really giving them the business?
No, I never thought that was real.
You didn't think Sergeant Slaughter was legit?
No, not at all.
Bro, come on.
The whole thing with them cracking chairs over each other's heads and that kind of stuff.
That was a little bit carried away.
I never believed for a second that was real.
It is real-ish. Right?
Yeah. Okay. So
it could be real. So, yeah, I think it's rigged.
Interesting. Okay. I'm going to have to go on record as saying I kind of agree with you because there were so many bad calls, at least on the part of the Dodgers. I mean, on paper, the Dodgers had the superior lineup. They had the stronger bats. They had the more experienced pitching staff. Even the odds suggested that I think Dodgers were 11-1 going to take the series.
But that's what makes a beautiful story. You've got this team that pulls it all together after tragedy strikes at home, and against all of the odds, they've come out on top.
So yeah, going back to the games,
I didn't mention this last week, but I actually expected it was going to go the full 7 because I think they wanted to milk this story for as much as they could. Like every time they went to a break, they had the little T-Mobile, we're going to give money to the Hurricane people for every home run. So they're like letting them hit home runs all day long just so they can give more money to these hurricane victims. Come on, bro.
Jared came back again and said something. He said there was the time that the Tokyo Nippon professional team won the World Series after the Fukushima disaster.
Yeah.
This is some funny stuff going on here. Apparently there are definitely those who would probably agree with the conspiracy.
Well, Jared is like a huge baseball fan.
But was he a Dodger fan or is he an Astro fan? I'm not really sure which way he's going on this. But see, going back to Game 7 again,
he loves professional sports.
They not only did they not open up with Kershaw, and I mean just pitch him till his arm fell off. They
God bless America. Pitch him till his arm fell off.
Are you done undermining me yet? They bring in one of the B pitching staff, and after he intentionally, well, not intentionally, but manages to walk a couple of players and starts to put points on the board at the end of inning 1. Because they were already up 2-0 at the end of the first inning. Then they brought him back for inning 2 to see how much more damage he could do. They didn't try stopping the bleeding until the 3rd inning, and by that point, the damage was already done. We were down 5-0.
They got that one. They got one run.
We finally got one run in the 7th.
On accident.
Yeah, pretty much. I think that was just a feel good so that the Dodgers weren't completely shut out of Game 7.
I think Game 6, there was that one. I forget who it was. It was who was at bat, and it was a pretty amazing hit. And the commentators did all this. Oh my gosh, it's amazing hitting versus amazing pitching. But there was one where he pitched a slider, and it dropped down into the right. Dude kind of went in and dug it out. Boom! It was in Houston, and he hit it a home run. It was pretty. I thought that was cool. I'm sorry. Just thought that was cool. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
So yeah, it's fun to watch. I just don't believe it's real.
Interesting. Okay, so basically the consensus here is that this was actually rigged. It was preordained that the Astros were going to take it, and you're saying they always intended to play all 7 games before the Astros were going to walk away with it.
I expected that. I fully expected that. They didn't want to destroy the Dodger momentum because there was a lot of momentum behind the Dodgers.
Not to mention there was probably a whole lot of money for the city of LA to make by
for
filling the
everybody
stadiums.
For everybody to make money in Houston and in LA. I mean, they filled both stadiums even when the teams did you see the shot of this what do they call it, the Minute Maid, when Game 7 they show how the stadium's all full because they showed on the screens in there.
Mm-hmm.
It's insane how many people get packed into these things, and all the food and all that other stuff they're buying is ridiculous. It's good money.